Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind Dale, head out to Chull or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions.
Hello, everybody. If you're watching this live, that means it's Saturday. Yes, we made it. We made it to Saturday. I am Gaarawarr, everybody, and this is Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. So I am here to tutorialize you about a topic for the next 2 hours. The way this show works, though, is for the first hour I talk about the topic, and for the second hour I take questions from chat. You can give your questions, you can put your questions in chat at any time, though. Using the information you can find on the screen and in chat, question colon in front of your question. And in the production new booth today, Gabe. Come on. Gabe is in the production booth. I mean, who'd you think it was? Gabe's going to be grabbing your questions from chat and keeping an eye on things. So I can focus on the information. So yeah. No, yeah, see, there, the bot put the info in chat for you, folks. So you know. If you don't put question colon in front of your question, then chat will answer and I won't. That's because I won't have seen it. Because I'm going to be focusing on talking to you instead of looking at all the questions in chat. And remember, I will get to the questions in the second half of the show. So hang out. We're going to get there. All right. Today's topic. Greengrass Flex Champions. Which begs the question, what the heck is a Flex Champion? Is it a champion that flexes on my opponents? No, that's not what they mean. I mean, they might, but they might. So here's the new way events work. You get 2 featured champions. Usually, it's going to be a new champion and a rework champion. Sometimes it might be 2 new champions. Sometimes it might be 2 rework champions. But then there's going to be 4 other slots down here. Let's say available slots. I've already flexed 1 champion for the event. And you flex a champion just by clicking on the slot that says it's lit up and says it's available. Like we see one here that's locked. And it unlocks in 4 days, 2 hours, because that's kind of the way the flex slots work. When the event starts, you have access to the 2 feature champions and your first flex slot. And you can pick that right away. A week later, this second flex slot will open. A week later, the third flex slot will open. This bottom flex slot only opens if you buy an event DLC. You can see Dwarf Glitch Catti-brie. Although this isn't what I bought I bought them both. They should both show as purchased. But okay, CNE. And that unlocked a flex slot, another flex slot for me. So you can get up to 6 champions now in an event. Twice as many as before when we used to just get 3. And it used to be the newest champion, then last year's champion, and then the year before that's champion. And everything that came before, you couldn't get access to it except out of a time gate. Well, now, when you click on this, you get taken to this nice little scroll thing. Now, Catti-brie would have been in here, but I flexed her already. And then we can see there's 7 more champions. So there were 8 potential flex champions here in Greengrass this year. So we have Nrakk, Aila, Spurt, Melf, Orkira, Gazrick, Antrius, and, again, Catti-brie. Catti-brie. These are our flex champions. Now the way, again, this one you have to buy DLC to unlock. This one you just get to flex somebody at no charge. But these next 2, these ones that are time gated, because you gotta wait a week and then another week. Okay. You actually have to spend time gate pieces on. It's only 3. They're basically mega time gates. You get to pick from this list. It only costs you 3 time gate pieces. There's 4 tiers of available content you can do depending on your progress level in the game. Each tier can award you 3 gold chests. So I have 9 left available to me if I were to choose Nrakk, if I could get all the way through this. As you complete each tier of content, you unlock a buff that applies to your formation when that champion is in your formation. And it lasts for a while, folks. So as you can see, there's 4 different options here. And then if you can get it all done, great, you're done. As you can see from Catti-brie, I've done 2 of her tiers of content so far. But if you look at Penelope and Gale, I did all 4. So the little they start off with a little white star, it goes to 2 green stars, and then it'll go to 3 blue. And when you get it all done, it's 4 purple, and you're good. And you're good forever. So event boons are what... no, that's a different thing. Here's the buffs. Where are they at? Here we go. Here's our new... We have now event buffs and event boons, folks. They have this nice new sub-hover thing. So you hover over this one, and then it stays over, so you can hover over the rest of it. And that's great. So, the time that it lasts is basically 60 days, is these buffs. From the start of the event, you have 60 days as you earn them. So as you can see, I still have my buffs from Festival of Fools going. They're still active for another 22 more days. The buffs that I've unlocked so far for these champions are going to be active for 50 days. Right? And then we have event boons, and this is because I was a supporter of the game, and I unlocked that support slot. I get event boons, and these are basically, it's like a stack of potions. I do want to mention this real quick. If you come over here, you can see you can have up to 4 stacks of event boons, and the power of those potions basically gets bigger, and they stay active during the event. And if you click over here, you can actually now toggle off. Like if for some reason you don't want one of these, which if you want to go stack up kills on Dark Urge, you picked them up last event, untoggle this, because otherwise your familiars are going to be killing everything, right? If you're in one of those variants where you're taking percent max health damage every second or every 5 seconds, turn off the health potion. Turn off the health potion, or else you're going to die a lot faster, right? So yeah, okay, just as an aside. In this screen, they now added those toggles. And since unlocking your 6th flesh slot requires buying some from the shop, you could and you would then end up with a boon like this. So just know you can toggle those now. So they're pretty straightforward. Once you pick them up, you have access. To them, and you can do their content. As you can see, if I come back out here to the map screen, I have done all but one tier of Catti-bries. I got to do this one. Once I finish this one, it will unlock all the tier 4 stuff. It will show up like these, tier 4, but without the check marks. And then I will have to do those as well. The nice thing about this, yes, you're doing the same kind of variants in each tier, but you can do the variant in the first tier, save your formation, and then just load those formations in when you're doing the other tiers. You might have to adjust them a bit if they weren't strong enough to get you all the way through, but that's the way it works. I do want to make it very clear. This is my main account, so getting all the way through 4 tiers. Some of them are easier than others, but it's a lot. It takes a lot of account power. Yeah, it takes a lot of account power to get through all 4 tiers. So the way these kind of tiers function, in my mind, from what I can tell, is tier 1, doable by everyone. I have a new account that's now 31 days, 32 days old, somewhere around there. Last event, it was able to do all of tier 1, and I even got like one adventure done, one variant done in tier 2 for some of them. Not all of them, but some of them. So as a new player, you can do tier 1. Tier 1 is wholly dependent just on favor. Okay. Tier 2 takes a lot of favor and also just power from your champions. You need some strong champions, and they gotta have gear. And they gotta have some solid gear. I mean, like blues and purples, nothing below that. Yeah, at a minimum, that's what you're looking at. And you gotta know how to build a good formation to get through tier 2, at a minimum. Tier 3 is going to require, basically, you're far enough into the game, you've got like, you're going to take a lot of favor, but also you're probably closer to full epic. If not full epic, you're going to have a Modron core, you're going to have patron perks, you're going to have lots of global blessings, you might even have a few legendary effects floating around. It's the kind of power it's going to take to get all the way through tier 3. And tier 4, you need to be late game. You have to have full epics. Your champions have to have hundreds of item levels. You need maxed out Modron cores. You need legendaries across the champions you're using. You need a lot of power. Okay, so if you are a new player and all you're able to get done is tier 2, awesome. Or tier 1, excuse me. Awesome, because that's your area. That's the stuff. That's what you're supposed to be doing. But this is kind of this tier system is a tracker of your permanent progress throughout the game. So if you can't do it now, next event, like on my new account, first event, I could do all of tier 1, and I did a couple of the low level variants in tier 2. This event, I've done all of tier 1, and I think we're working on tier 2 now, and I'm smoking it. So it only took me, to my second event of efficient play to have the power to start doing a lot more tier 2 content. I won't be able to touch tier 3. Okay. All right, let's talk about each of these champions. We're going to go and dive into all of these. Now, one of the champions is not shown here. One of the champions is not shown here. That's because in this event, we actually have Gazrick and Catti-brie. Yes, that's Catti-brie in her default skin now. People don't know, Catti-brie, adopted daughter of Brunner Battlehammer, that makes her a dwarf. She finally got her dwarf skin. It's just, yeah, of course I'm going to rock that dwarf skin now. So yeah, we will get to Catti-brie at the end as long as I don't forget. But right now we're going to cover the 7 champions you see on the screen. We'll do them in bench seat order. Coming in bench seat 1, hailing from the Heroes of the Plains Streamiverse. Oh no. I'm a sports announcer now. Orkira, female Dragonborn cleric, chaotic good, healing and support. We're gonna fly through these, folks, because I got to get through 8 champions in 45 minutes. I've got guides for this over on the subreddit if you need a deeper dive, and if you have questions, if you have more questions, please. That's what chat is for. Throw in question colon in front of your question, and I'll get to it in the second half of the show. All right. Orkira is currently in the game the queen of debuffs. Why do we call her that? She has a super effective debuff, one of the best in the game. There's a lot now of really good debuffs in the game now. We're starting to see more of those, but she has been the queen for a while, and she's still the reigning queen. She also has a solid heal. So that heal comes off lesser restoration. So all non-adjacent champions, so anybody not next to her, gets a heal. It pumps out every second. Elemental Fire is basically it's her debuff. It does say they receive a stack of Elemental Fire, taking 10% of her damage per second for 15 seconds, but she's not the DPS. Well, she's not supposed to be the DPS, so that part isn't important. It's this whole receiving additional damage from all attacks that's the important part. That's the debuff. It stacks up to 10 times. And you add more stacks, it just resets the cooldown timer. Okay. And then Healing Flame increases the effect of Elemental Fire, her debuff, makes her debuff bigger, for each order of magnitude worth of effective healing done with lesser restoration. So the more you heal, the more she debuffs. Now it does say effective healing. What does that mean? It means it's looking at, like right now, she's not healing anyone at all because no one's hurt. When people get hurt, she starts flooding out the heals every second. So, until you start healing, she will not be increasing her debuff. But we've got a way around that. For her specializations, she's got Breath of the Phoenix, which is nice. Her Burning Hands are an AoE. It makes her cone bigger, and it applies 2 stacks of her Elemental Fire debuff. That's all well and good. Shake your tail feather, folks. Tail feather of the Phoenix. This is the one you want. It just is. It's the one that you want. The one you want. Increases the effect of lesser restoration. That heal by 100%. Lesser restoration will now heal undamaged champions. So it'll just, like other champions, it'll throw heals out whether they need them or not. And Healing Flame, so that debuff booster, will count 1% of this non-effective healing as well. So the second you tick this, everyone starts getting heals. And it starts stacking up over here for Healing Flame. And as you can see, as it gets bigger and bigger, you change your effective magnitude, order of magnitude. That's the number after the E. This is why we use scientific notation in this house. The number after the E is your order of magnitude, so 4 stacks. When this gets up to 5, it'll be EO5, it'll be 5 stacks. Okay, so the more she heals, the more she debuffs. This means she's a fantastic target for these brand new healing pigments that we finally got one of in the game, because it double dips. It makes her heal twice as much, which means she debuffs twice as much. Yay, right? Yay. What do we got? We got her ultimate. Her ultimate basically applies the debuff to everything. It rains down a holy fire because it's from her god. There we go. And debuffs and damages everything on the screen. It lasts a little while. That's great. It's a great screen-wide damage dealer. She also has self-sacrifice. This one's a bit fiddly. Basically, if someone is about to die in the formation, Orkira swaps places with them. Literally, she changes places in the formation and starts tanking the damage for them. Whatever, like if they were in the tank line and people are there, she starts taking it instead for a short period of time, and then they swap back. And the idea here is that they swap, and then hopefully she then heals them up, and then you swap them back, right? Interesting feature. It's just kind of a momentary, you get a second to see if you can finish things off, because if whatever was hitting them, whatever was hitting like a tank, then starts hitting Orkira, well, Orkira ain't got that health. Orkira ain't got that kind of health. So, it doesn't last too long, but it's neat. She's itemized pretty well. Damage of all champions, lesser restoration, that's the healing. Elemental fire, that's the debuff. And then healing flame, that's the thing that takes the healing and makes it a bigger debuff. This is exactly what you want. And then reducing cooldown reduction, right? Lots of feats, damage all champion, that's nice. She does have a glitch now, so she counts as a half elf. Buffs her elemental fire for other half-elves in the formation. Here's lesser restoration. You want to do lots and lots of healing? Here you go. There's all the healing feats. Here's elemental fire. You want more bigger debuffs? There you go. Here's healing flame. You just want to turn that that healing into a bigger debuff? Well, there you go. You figure out what you want. Figure out what's going to work best for you. She's got a lot of options there. All right, next up, Spurt. So we talk about somebody who loves to heal people and keep people alive. Well, Spurt likes to be dead, and we'll get to that. Spurt joins us from Critical Role, folks. It's the only it's the only true, like, Critical Role only champion that we have. So Archon is in the game. Archon made a guest appearance, yada, yada, yada. But Spurt has only ever appeared in Critical Role. Well, that was where they made their appearance. Male Kobold, an Inventor, which is a form of a rogue for this game. Lawful Evil Support. 11 days old. 11 days old. Everything about their kit kind of works around their ultimate, which is Heroic Sacrifice. When you use it, this happens. He dead. He dead. He is Spirit now. He is Spirit Boy. And this is what you want. You want them dead all the time. In fact, the longer they stay dead, the bigger their buffs get. You can see my cooldown is around 7 minutes. That's actually pretty low. That's actually pretty low. Yeah, the longer he stays dead, the better his buffs get. The better his buffs get. But this is his final form. This is where you want him. So a lot of times you just want to park a familiar on his ultimate. Let's talk about what his abilities are now with that, because friends don't let friends keep Spurt alive. Centipede Net. This is the big buff. Spurt increases the damage of adjacent champions by an amount. This can be affected by some spec choices. We'll talk about it. While in spirit form, this effect is increased by 2% for each second of Spurt's maximum ult cooldown, stacking multiplicatively. That's the good way. This means the longer you make that ultimate, effectively it's a multiplicatively stacking ability, and it's percentage based. It's small, but you can get so many seconds. So the higher you raise the ult cooldown, the bigger Centipede Net gets. And there are people who turn this, who have just basically, end game players who just dump thousands and thousands and thousands of item levels onto Spurt because his slot 6 increases his cooldown instead of decreases it. And so they'll make that cooldown like, an hour long or some crazy, I don't even know. But it's ridiculous. Outrageous amounts of power at end game. Early on, though, you just keep him dead, right? Waspiration. This is kind of part of what I want to say, some of Spurt's invisible power, because it's not always super obvious that he's doing these things, and you just have to understand that he's got some bonuses that you need to be aware of. So he gains a stack of Waspiration every time he attacks, except when he's dead, he doesn't attack. So instead, stacks are gained when adjacent champions attack, and when he's dead, it also makes them stronger. And yes, Centipede Net with the ult cooldown in spirit form, it is mathematically overpowered. It is a mop ability, yes. Waspiration. So every 10 Waspiration stacks, Spurt invents a random effect. And the effects can stack up to 5 times. So the more you're attacking with the people adjacent to him, the more different abilities you can create. And if we click over here on formation buffs, you can see Waspiration Stingy, Waspiration Grubby, Waspiration Skunky. These are the different Waspiration effects. So Stingy makes it so that champions that attack with melee attacks deal 400% additional damage. And again, these stack multiplicatively. It's a good way. Grubby makes all champions' base attack cooldowns reduced by 0.2 seconds. This stacks additively, so you can get it up to a 1 second cooldown attack speed cooldown reduction, which just feeds into itself, right? Because the more those champions attack, the more they stack up these effects, right? And then Skunky makes it so that enemies approach the party take an extra 400% damage. So it's a debuff, and it stacks multiplicatively. And you really want him adjacent to as many people as possible, so you can get as many stacks as possible, right? Because the more they attack, the more wasps fly around his head, and the sooner he invents a new ability. Or just builds up the stacks of the old one. Until he comes back to life, which happens at 10 seconds left on his thing. Now those abilities are still there, but we just got to make him dead again to boost him. Okay, and back he goes. In fact, we're going to park a familiar there. Oh no, if we're going to do this, if we're going to park a familiar there, where is he? Where is he? I can't find familiars quickly. Do I have him? Don't I have? There's a baby Spurt familiar. Here he is. No, he's in the background. That's why I didn't notice him. Okay, there we go. Baby Spurt. Baby Spurt. Doot, doot, doot. He's going to keep Spurt down. All right. So just know these are things that are going to happen. Spurt works better with melee attackers. He's going to give you attack speed cooldown. And he's going to debuff enemies that get close, all because of Waspiration. Fantastic. Look at all the things Spurt does. Spurt also has pack tactics, where he increases the damage of all champions by 100% for every kobold in the formation, including him. So if he does, if you do decide to run some more kobolds, kobolds are number one. If you run kobolds, pack tactics can kick in. Let's talk about spec choices. So Kobold Family basically buffs pack tactics by 400%, so 5x of the power. So situational, right? Adopted family are going to come all the way over here. Unaffiliated non-Kobold champions count as kobolds for the purpose of pack tactics. So if you have a champion like Spurt isn't part of an affiliation, he just basically adopts them as kobolds, and then you can increase that buff. Okay. Centipult is where most of the time this is where your power's at, and just to be straightforward. Centipede Net instead affects champions who are 2 formation slots away from Spurt instead of adjacent. You need to make sure they're 2 away from your DPS. And its effect is increased by 600%. Yes, please. That's the one I like. That's the one I like to pick. Now, obviously, it depends on I'm looking at the number of my kobolds or looking at the number of my unaffiliated champions. But more often than not, I'm going with that middle spec. That's everything for Spurt. So, like I said, he's pretty neat. You want to keep him dead all the time. All the time. He's got a pair of damage all champions items. Centipede Net, yay. Pack tactics, cool. Nothing for Waspiration. Just so you're aware. Ultimate attack damage and ultimate attack cooldown. Ultimate attack increase. It is ultimate attack cooldown, but it increases instead of decreases. The only one in the game to do that. Feat-wise, damage all champions. A feat to increase his cooldown by 30 seconds. Look, even they know. Centipede Net stuff, pack tactics stuff. He's got a con feat. He's got a pair of con feats. I can't remember what the +1 one is for. The +2, though, qualifies him for Vajra. 1 is probably some other variant or something in the game. So just know he's got a lot of constitution bonuses if you want him. Let's head on to Antrius. Antrius joins us from the Awful Ones. Male Human Bard, Chaotic Good, Healing and Support. So, Antrius does have a debuff. It's on his base attack. It just causes an enemy to take double damage. So it's not outrageously amazing, but hey, whatever enemy has the most health takes double damage. And, that's nice. Take them where you can get them, folks. Inspiring Song is kind of the core of Antrius' kit. So Antrius inspires each adjacent champion, giving them temp HP every 5 seconds. So it's a temp HP shield that will refresh itself every 5 seconds. And increasing their damage by a large amount. So 2 effects. Any champion with a charisma score of 17 or higher further inspires all unaffected adjacent champions, and this continues to cascade. So, Antrius, buff spreader. Like, if you put his buff on everyone around him, and any of those have high charisma, 17 or higher, they then spread it to other adjacent champions. And then those can spread it too. And this is a key to putting Antrius in your formation and accessing all of his power. Okay? Your ideal formation build spreads inspiring song to everyone. Doesn't mean you have to do that every time. I've done runs where I didn't. But if you can, it's a big deal, and we're going to get to why. He has other abilities that make that a big deal. He also includes himself in this, and the max you can get a shield to is 10 times the champion's max health. It's rare you see that, but it is they want to put those caps there for a reason. But it's so that you don't tank with a squishy. That's the idea. But it's rare that you'll ever see it get to 10 for reasons. The Hardiest Bardiest Bard increases Inspiring Song's temp HP by 100% for each champion affected by it, stacking additively. So you can raise that. Here's another thing. Like, spread it out throughout the whole formation, and that shield gets way bigger. Okay. Suave and Sophisticated is the mathematically overpowered ability. This is a mop. This is one of those where if you're hearing mop for the first time, basically a mathematically overpowered ability is something that stacks multiplicatively and has item support that apply to the pre-stacked value, which means the more item levels you pump into that item, the more mathematically powerful that multiplicatively powerful that ability gets. It just explodes forever. There's not the same kind of diminishing returns as a regular item ability. Okay. So, Antrius increases Inspiring Song's damage bonus by an amount for each champion affected by it, stacking multiplicatively, and buffs apply to the pre-stack value. They were super nice. They call it out. Hi, I'm mathematically overpowered. All right. It can't be defeated. Antrius increases Inspiring Song's damage bonus by an amount for each feat your champions have unlocked, stacking additively. So this is a long term. Don't go chasing waterfall. Don't go chasing feat unlocks. Just let them accrue naturally. Because this is just long term end game. This is one of those things where the more time you play the game, the better Antrius gets incrementally over time. There's a lot of champions now that kind of do that. It doesn't mean you have to go chase them right away. Okay. But that's a little bonus there. All right, let's go for spec choices. Bard College, truly awful stats, or the A in chaotic, is for Antrius. So these are all multiplicatively stacking bonuses. You don't just pick the higher number though. So you do, because it's multiplicatively stacking. You're hopefully at least going to have 2 stacks on whatever you choose. Because that's when you get access to the multiplicative stacking. Like, you can't stack multiplicatively with 1. You need at least 2. But it's 200% for Bard College, 150 for Truly Awful Stats, and 100% for the Chaotic one. So you can't just look at the numbers. You got to do the math. And the way we do the math here is you take the percentage and you turn it into a multiplier. 200% is 3x. 150% is 2.5x, and 100% is 2x. It's because you already have 100%, and then you're adding the rest of this stuff, right? Okay, just so we know. The only real options we would have in this kind of butchered formation is we would have a 2.5 times itself for a 6.25 bonus. But there's 3 of the chaotic one, which is 2 times itself, 4, and then 8, right? 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So in this situation, the bigger number is better. But sometimes, like if this one was at 2 and this one was at 3, this would be 3 times 3 is 9. This one would end up being bigger, right? So you got to do a little bit of math here. They don't do this one for you. All right, so Bard College is about bards in the formation. Awful Stats is about total ability scores of 78 or lower. And Chaotic it's chaotic people, folks. It's like right there in the title. Right there in the title. And for those of you who are running into this whole, a total ability score, what's that? This is a new thing they did where they've totaled up down here at the bottom, this tot. It's not for tater tots, it's total ability score. As long as it's 78 or lower, that's considered awful stats. That's considered awful stats, which is really judgmental, I think, on their part. But it's that's what they're going for. So those are the ones that don't qualify for that. Ultimate ability, Cloud of Daggers. Really nice. Really nice. So it's just boom, ongoing damage around a target for 10 seconds. Anything that walks into it, anything that's sitting in it, just 10 seconds of constant damage. It's pretty fantastic, folks. It's pretty fantastic. Item wise, damage all champions, buff inspiring song, suave and sophisticated. This is the mop. This is the mop item. It can't be defeated. Okay. It's like, ultimate attack damage, ultimate cooldown. Feat wise, damage all champions. You can buff the shield. Right, that specifically says the temp HP granted by it. You can buff the damage bonus from Inspiring Song. There's feats for that. You can just straight up buff Suave and Sophisticated, and that's what you want to do. Because again, any buffs to that apply to the pre-stack value. And then he does have a con feat to make him qualify for Vajra. All right, on to Gazrick. Gazrick joins us from the Rivals of Waterdeep. Male Rock Gnome, Druid. Neutral good, support, and gold find. And they do a pretty solid, good job of the gold. The way they work, as you see, they've got a very kind of frosty-looking theme. It's snowflake stuff. Frosty Friendship. Gazrick increases the damage of all champions in a snowflake shape. I want to be clear. This isn't that they only buff champions who are shaped like snowflakes. This is that their buff extends from themselves in a snowflake shape. I just want to be clear, in case there's confusion. The damage bonus depends on how far away they are from Gazrick. So the further they are, the bigger the bonus. So as you can see, if you look a little under... no, we're going to... Here, hold on, let's go back. If you can kind of see it under... This is a bad floor to see this on. You kind of see under their feet, there's this little snowflakes action going on. If I move over here, you can see it here now under, kind of sticking out a little bit under Aila and everyone in this line. So if we put it over here, it's going to go all the way back. So if we put them over here, it's going to go all the way back here to Orkira. So it can change and flow and move like in different ways. You can see kind of the green arrows where it's going to shoot across. It'll shoot across gaps. See, it's hitting Melf. And you just want him as far away from everyone as possible. Well, far away from your primary DPS as possible. And make sure your DPS has that snowflake under them. Okay. Traveling Merchant. Gazrick now travels with a portable stall that sells merch. This is the gold find. And it boosted by each member of Rivals of Waterdeep in the formation, including himself. See, he's got his little rolling cart here with the little bobbleheads on it. It's great. It's great. Armor Ablation. So this is his kind of niche. Armored enemies are those enemies in the game that have segmented health, but with the shield on it. And it takes a minimum amount of damage to remove a chunk. Okay. Whereas hit-based, like the Elder Brain in that we were just fighting here on screen a moment ago, it just takes 1 damage each. But armor is they actually have health. And if you divide their health total by the number of segments, which is usually 50 on these bosses, you get the minimum amount of damage you have to remove. Well, Gazrick, his attacks lower the armor threshold by 15% for 30 seconds. And it stacks. So the faster he attacks an enemy, the more he lowers that armor amount, like the damage amount threshold. Now, it is 30 seconds. Oh, does this... Oh, it doesn't. Oh, there used to be some shenaniganry here. The champion that shenaniganed it got nerfed, unfortunately. But if you increase their attack speed and you get them attacking quickly, they can apply this a lot. I don't think you can get up to 30 stacks anymore. Yeah, you used to be able to, and it was pretty cool. Who knows? Maybe that'll change in the future. So just know he can, as long as, his buff is also swapping him in, it gives a good buff and you can get him to attacking a lot. He might be able to help you with those armored enemies. Control weather. Gazrick causes enemies to take an additional amount of damage in areas where it is snowing. So, if you go somewhere where it's snowing, Gazrick helps. Or you can just hit his ultimate. And suddenly it's snowing on that area. So, when you get to a boss level, pop that ultimate, it will start snowing. It also did that AoE. It was like a sleet storm, and it slows enemies who are in it. It does damage and slows enemies, but now it snows until the area changes. Okay, and this is important because another member of Rivals of the Waterdeep buffs based off whenever the weather changes. So having Gazrick in the formation hitting the ultimate on cooldown increases his friend's buffs. Spec choices. We can go all in on gold, so we can boost the gold find. We can increase the duration of armor ablation, and this is actually what can help you get to 30 stacks. You can't do it base anymore, but with this, it makes it last for 60 seconds, so you can potentially get up to 30 stacks. Or you can increase the effect of your control weather. Okay, so whichever one you want to do. I'm going to choose this just because usually if I'm using Gazrick, I'm probably wanting to ablate some armor. But, you know, he's sometimes I have him in for gold find. Sometimes I do have him in for gold find. Item-wise, damage all champions, Frosty Friendship, Traveling Merchant, that's the gold find one, Control Weather, and then cooldown on the ultimate attack, right? Feats, damage all champions, Frosty Friendship, Traveling Merchant. We get a +2 strength score. This makes him eligible for Zariel variants. +1 con, Vajra. And these are just the bigger versions of the stuff we already talked about. All right, let's talk. You know what? No. We're hopping over Nrakk. We're going to come back to Nrakk. We're going to come back to Nrakk for reasons. All right, let's move forward. Aila comes to us from the Heroes of Erois. She's a female wild elf barbarian. Chaotic neutral, tanking, and support. Aila is very strong. She's got a 25 overwhelm. She is a strong... I want to make sure that's... Yeah, I didn't add any overwhelm. She's a really strong tanking champion, in my opinion, because she has a self-shield. So she can apply her own shield. She doesn't necessarily need Antrius's. And it reapplies, and we'll talk about that in a moment. She has a knockback on her attack. Something to keep in mind. So Storm Aura, a random enemy approaching the formation is zapped by lightning and becomes primed every 8 seconds. So as enemies come in, they get this little debuff indicator, and they're primed. Primed enemies take 50% more damage from all champions. Now that may not sound like much, but it's gonna get better. Heart of the Storm is her health share, so it's just 25% of her health goes to everybody else. And it's real quick, early unlock, so that's super nice. Sometimes you got to get real deep in a kit to get that. Storm Soul. When Aila attacks a primed enemy, they're stunned for 2 seconds and become electrified, increasing the damage they take from all champions by 100% for each electrified normal enemy on the screen, and 1,000% for each electrified boss, stacking additively. So she increases the debuff and also increases it based off everyone that she has turned into electrified. Okay? So you want everyone, you want as many people priming as possible so that when she attacks, she can electrify as many as possible, because that just makes your champions do more damage to all of them, right? To everyone that's been debuffed. Raging Storm. Whenever Aila attacks an electrified enemy, the electrified state spreads to nearby enemies who are primed. So she doesn't even have to try to hit everyone, because she's only attacking the nearest enemy. But when she does, and they start building up in front of her, in the front of the tank line, she then spreads it and electrifies everyone. All nearby enemies who are electrified are stunned for a half a second. So crowd control and debuffs. Shielding Storm is her self-shield. It is a little further up here. When an electrified enemy attacks Aila, so when they hit her, she gains a damage shield equal to 0.5% of her health times the total number of Erois synergy stacks. This is her affiliation boost. We're going to talk about that. We'll get there in a minute. This effect has a 30-second cooldown, so she resets her shield every 30 seconds. Every 30 seconds. So as long as she can live, like as long as the damage that's coming out, hitting her, is only coming out of her shield for 30 seconds, then she's going to refresh. And basically, she didn't even take any damage, right? Because it all came out of the shield. Her ultimate is kind of key as well. You wanna be hitting this a lot because she unleashes lightning across all enemies on the screen, damaging them and stunning them for 5 seconds. It also deals 10% more damage for each stack of Heroes synergy. So the more you synergize, if you run a full Heroes Heroes party, this is getting a lot more damage. And it's a nice long stun, right? Nice long stun. Spec choice is Stormcaller or Stormbreaker. Stormcaller reduces the cooldown of Storm Aura by 3 seconds. Storm Aura is the thing that, as they're loading in, you're priming enemies. So this would prime them a lot more often. And get them into that state so she can electrify them. Stormbreaker doubles the stun duration of Storm Soul and Raging Storm. So if you just want lots of crowd control, like for as long as possible, you go Stormbreaker. But if you want to prime as many enemies as possible so they're ready to be electrified, Stormcaller, and that's usually what I do. I usually go left spec. Level up. There we go. Okay. Here we go. Heroes synergy. Aila this is a kind of a new way they've started trying to make affiliations work better together is by giving them abilities like this. So this is Heroes' version. The Heroes of Heroes' version. Aila contributes 1 stack to Heroes synergy every time any champion attacks an electrified enemy. Their maximum number of stacks is 200, plus the highest area completed in the current run divided by 5. Basically, the further you can go, the higher you can get your stacks. Okay. 50% of her contributed stacks are removed when changing areas. So it will build up on an area. The longer it takes you to clear the area, basically, the more power she's contributing to your party. Electrified enemies take additional damage equal to 10% times the total number of Heroes synergy stacks. So her debuff, she gets basically another debuff. Heroes synergy applies yet another debuff on top of her already debuff. Debuffs on debuffs. Great, right? And you can track these kind of stacks over here. Again, when you're trying to track stuff, formation buffs, make sure you have advanced info on in the settings. You can see Storm Soul. Was it E12 there? A synergy. We got an EO5 total bonus going on here. Yeah. And that's just with her, right? All right. Item-wise, damage all champions, Storm Soul, health. Yes, please. Because remember, the more health she has, the bigger her shield can get, right? Because her shield scales on her health. That's the good way. When a shield is based off a champion's percentage health, like the percent of their actual health, then you can just keep scaling it. The more health you put on that champion, the bigger their shield gets, right? Heroes synergy boost, fantastic. So it's more debuffs, and then her ultimate cooldown. So then damage all champion stuff, health stuff for her, super huge because it makes her shield bigger, right? Storm Soul, Heroes synergy. She's got a wisdom feat. That was, I think, for Nrakk. I can't remember off the top of my head. She can raise her overwhelm, which sometimes you need. That means less damage coming out of that shield when she's under a group attack. All right, let's talk about Melf, baby. Melf is a male elf. Yeah, folks, it was that simple. Fighter wizard, neutral good, support and speed. So, Melf is a speed champion, but Melf it has random effects, and we're going to talk about that. So don't just think that, hey, Melf is going to help me earn lots more gems. It could earn some, but it just changes. The speed effect changes. So Melf's adaptive support spell, all of his stuff is named after Melf, because, look, Melf's magic missiles, Melf's minute meteors, Melf's whatever. Adaptive support spell. Increase the damage of champions adjacent to him. Okay, effect is increased by 50% if another elf is in the formation. It's a binary toggle. The effect range is increased by 2 if Melf is not in the frontmost or rearmost columns. And the effect is increased by 25% for each unique race in the formation. I don't build around making sure you trigger the elf and lots of unique races, but I do place him based off the effect range. So just know he's a little fiddly. He can be a little fiddly. Melf's righteous determination. Melf knows exactly what evil is. Whenever an enemy spawns, it has a 50% chance of being deemed evil by Melf. Well, wait, if Melf knows exactly what evil is, why is it just a 50-50? Because it's a video game. Enemies that are deemed evil take more damage from all ultimate attacks. So they were playing around with like, hey, let's make a champion that boosts the damage that comes off ultimates. Here you go. Here you go. It's interesting. I don't know that it's super useful in the modern game, but there you go. Now, Melf's Speedy Supplement. This is the speed ability. Melf provides a random speed up buff. The buff provided changes after every 50th area you complete. And it can be one of these 3 possible things. So as you're progressing through an adventure, the buff will change. Now, sometimes it won't. It's 3. You get 3 options, and sometimes it's like rolling a D3. Sometimes you just get the same number over and over and over again. Okay. There's a chance to spawn additional enemies. You can increase enemy spawn speed, or you can increase quest drops. These numbers go over 100%. I know that seems weird to new players, but it's because when you go over 100%, it's a chance to get an additional. Okay, so chance to spawn additional enemies, 100% chance to spawn 1 more. But when you go over 100%, then it could spawn 2 more, and then it could spawn, then it will spawn 3 more, right? As you keep going. Increase enemy spawn speed. Again, it's just a bigger reduction in how long it takes them to get to the kill area. And then crest drops. You get multiple credit. Okay, so the bigger this gets, this can just keep scaling infinitely. There's no cap currently. And it can create just outrageous situations. Melf's greatest usage, in my opinion, is late game for spawning additional enemies for kill quests. So if you need to kill thousands of something for a patron challenge, or you don't have access to a Chumbawamba variant for stacking the Dark Urge, you can make Melf spawn just infinite enemies with enough item levels. Okay. Their ultimate is minute meteors, so once they cast it around their head, these little meteors show up. I'm going to cast it here at the start, and you see them floating around their head, and then every time they attack, they burn a meteor. It uses one and causes an AoE of Bud-based damage, which is just really neat on hit effect. Spec choices. We can boost adaptive support, we can boost speedy supplement, or you can boost the damage done by ultimates to those who were deemed evil. Usually you're running over here. One of these two, right? We're just going to go with the speed effect. We're going to go with the speed effect. Okay. Augmented support spell. So this increases the effect of adaptive support by 100% on the non-dominant gender in the formation. So if it's mostly males, then females would get it. But if there's a non-binary champion in the formation, and there's more than one male or female in the formation, the non-binary one would get it. And it tells you who is currently non-dominant. Again, I don't necessarily build around this. This one is one of those that's like, oh, extra. Extra. And then the buff is increased for each slot away from a champion is from Melf. So again, formation placement cues. There's a lot going on in every one of his abilities, so you got to keep an eye on that if you're truly trying to maximize your formation bonuses. So damage all champions items, adaptive speed, or adaptive support, speedy supplements. This is a speed item. A righteous determination. That's that ultimate damage thing. And then it also buffs ultimate attack damage. Just all in on the ultimate damage. Damage all champions, adaptive support, speedy supplement, and this is, obviously you want the speed one if you're doing speed stuff. And then there's some righteous determination feats that I may never unlock. I don't put a lot of value in that currently in the game, but there are situations where, yeah, sure, absolutely. But yeah. All right, so let's talk about Catti-brie. Just totally ignoring Nrakk for the moment. Catti-brie comes to us from the Companions of the Hall. Here's Catti-brie's normal, human form, but she's a dwarf now. Female dwarf fighter. Just going all in. Good DPS support. Catti-brie, one of my favorite champions in the game because she's super flexible. She can be a great DPS and she can be a great support. However you need her, she shows up. Her base attack shoots the furthest enemy with her bow, which is weird, right? Like it's like Jarlaxle all over again. It's only going to hit the furthest thing away from you. And so in this situation, enemies can be building up on your tank because you're only hitting the stuff behind, and it's she can be challenging, right? Like she can seem daunting. There's ways to fix this. Her base, Catti-brie is the crit queen of Idle Champions. Her base is she has a passive that gives her 20% extra crit, but if you'll notice, I'm over 1,000%. It's because she's got an item for that. And yes, going over 100% matters. The more, when you go to 100%, well, that triggers crit damage. But if you get above 100%, it triggers a chance to double crit, basically, like a modifier in front of the crit damage. And the higher you get, the bigger the modifier. So just more and more damage. It's great. Powerful draw. Catti-brie deals additional damage to enemies the further away they are from the formation. Starts at 0% bonus at 20% away, so basically right in front, to 1,000% bonus if they're at the spawn point. Mark for death. Enemies hit by Catti-brie's arrows are marked and take additional damage equal to Catti-brie's crit hit damage until the enemy's defeated. She's got an item for crit damage too, folks. So she's applying a debuff that scales based off her item to every enemy she marks for death. Okay. Now again, base, this is whoever the furthest enemy is. But once she attacks them, they're marked until they die. Grievous wounds. Whenever an enemy that is marked is critically hit by any champion, they're stunned for 5 seconds. The damage bonus of their mark is increased by 100%, so double debuff. This effect can only occur every 10 seconds, and the damage bonus increase can stack multiplicatively up to 10 times. So, the more their crit, the more their damage, like the debuff, stacks up. And it stacks up multiplicatively. This means you want to crit them a lot. You want to crit these enemies as constantly as possible. The base crit chance on most champions, 2.5%. But again, Catti's the crit queen, so we're gonna get to why one of her specialization choices basically is gold for this, and that's all I ever use, and we'll talk about why. Push forward. Catti-brie increases the damage of herself and all champions in front of her in the formation. So she wants to be as far back as possible. She wants to be behind your DPS. Let me put it that way. Increases it by 50% each time she gets a crit, stacking multiplicatively up to 25 times and resetting when she changes areas. So the more she crits, the more she buffs. Okay, she's got a 5-second cooldown in this situation, so it would take a while for her to get up to 25 crits. But wait, hold on, wait for it. Ultimate. She shoots 6 arrows at once from her bow, so she just loads in 6. Each enemy hit by her arrows has a higher chance of being crit. They get her crit hit damage, is my understanding, and takes more crit damage, and it's based on Catti-brie's crit chance and crit damage. So she takes her crit hit chance and her crit hit damage, applies a mark on up to 6 enemies, and anyone that hits them gets her crit hit chance and her crit hit bonus for 30 seconds. This is a boss killer. This is an absolute boss killer. Okay. Spec choices. I'm going to do these backwards. Critical family. She additively increases critical hit chance of all companions of the Hall champions by 20%. So if you're running companions of the Hall, She can boost everyone in that group's crit chance, and the companions are built around crit chance now. Big Push, this increases the base effect of Push Forward to 60% per stack. That's her that's her debuff that stacks on her crits. And she only loses half of her stacks when changing areas instead of all of them. So it makes the damage more consistent. There are a lot of people that like this one. I don't go for this one. I go for Piercing Arrow. I can see why you might. I get it. It just takes a while still for her to build this up. Piercing Arrow. Her damage is increased by 400%, so most people just think this is the DPS spec. But it's not. But wait. Her arrows hit all enemies on their way to their target. Remember, she shoots the furthest enemy. Everyone between her and that enemy gets hit. And every enemy she hits in that line has a chance to be crit. So for me, this not only this can mark because it's hitting everything. It's marking everything for death. It's crit hitting because I've got her over 100%. So she's triggering Push Forward. She's stacking it up super fast because she's hitting everything. And any effects that are going to happen off crits, including her own, but also other people, are happening off of every person she hit because, again, she's 100% crit chance. You can get her to 100%. For me, she's 1,000%. So Piercing Arrow to me is really the only way to go. But there's reasons why you would do Push Forward. I get it. But I love Piercing Arrow. I love Piercing Arrow. And then finally, the companions of the hall now work and their friends. Now work off Mark of the Hall. So your formation gains 1 Mithril Hall stack once you get her to this point. And that increases Catti-brie's damage bonus from Mark for Death by 100% for each stack you have, stacking multiplicatively. That's a good way, folks. She's got feats for this, too, to increase the number of Mithril Hall stacks. So we've got Damage All Champions feats, Self-Damage feats. She counts as a dwarf now with her glitch feats, and that buffs Push Forward for each dwarf in the formation. She's got Mark for Death, Push Forward, Strength, which qualifies her for, I don't know. Oh, Krond. Charisma, which qualifies her for Zariel, I believe. Or maybe it's Hitch. I think it's Hitch. Maybe both. She's got Crit Chance, which I know 10% seems small, but it's not. It's the base, and then everything goes up from there. So it actually boosts it quite a lot. Crit Damage, Mithril Hall stacks. Everything you want for Catti-brie, she's got. You want it, she's got it. All right. Nrakk. Nrakk. Turning off auto progress. Nrakk is a C&E original. Male Gazrick monk, lawful neutral, support only now. Some returning champions may be like, wait, wasn't he a DPS? He was. He's not anymore. He's just support. He has two major things in his kit, and they both function off key stacks, key points. So Way of the Kensei is the first one. This is his buff. Increases the damage of all champions in the columns in front of and behind him. So right in front or right behind by an amount. Key Master. Well, let me talk about the other one. Stunning Strike. When Nrakk has at least one key point before he attacks, consumes a key point, and stun all enemies Nrakk hits for 3 seconds. Affected enemies take more damage, so get debuffed. 50% more damage for each key point Nrakk currently has, stacking multiplicatively. So multiplicatively stacking debuff based off key points. The debuff does not stack, so applying it to the same enemy doesn't matter. It lasts until the affected enemy is killed, or Nrakk has no key points remaining. Okay. So, he has two things that function off key points. Gwei the Kensei gets buffed here with Keymaster. I should have just read that one first. Based on the number of maximum key points Nrakk has had at one time during this adventure, the max number, so high water mark, Way of the Kensei is increased by 100% for each of those key points, stacking multiplicatively. And his key points cap at 60. So both of these features, Way of the Kensei, Stunning Strike, function multiplicatively off of max key point stacks. But the buff, you just have to get soup to max once. The debuff you're going to need to do constantly. Whenever you run into a situation where you can't keep pushing forward, you're going to need to try to ramp up that debuff. Okay, this is half of Nrakk's kit. So half is just max out your key points once, you get this big solid buff that you get forever. The other half, max it out constantly to get this debuff applied and kill things. Okay. Kinsai Cleave. Every third attack, Nrakk cleaves multiple enemies, dealing damage in area. So this turns his base attack into an AoE. Right. He has a unique feature that is It used to just be Gazrick Focus. Now it's Gazrick Focus or Gazrick Agility. It does the same thing, but based off either Wisdom or Dex now. So it increases the potency of most positional formation abilities of champions adjacent to Nrakk. Positional formation abilities are things that say, hi, I buff adjacent, or I buff the column in front, or I buff non-adjacent, right? So Orkira's healing that buffs non-adjacent champions, or heals non-adjacent champions. You put Nrakk next to her, if she qualifies for one of these, her healing goes up. Okay, so he buffs other people's buffs, but only the positional ones. And it's either Wiz 14 or higher, or Dex 16 or higher. So whatever works in the formation you're choosing, but he's got to be next to the person to do that. Okay. Perfect Self. While Nrakk has no key points, he reduces his ultimate cooldown by 1 second each time he attacks. So he brings his ultimate back. And an additional 4 seconds each time he hits a boss. This is cycling you to get his ultimate more often. Why would you want to do that? Well, if you'll note, not once in his kit did we hear how you build key points. That's because it's all on his ultimate. Nrakk blasts a random enemy and gains key points. Reactivate when the blue ring fills to the orange area to blast another enemy and gain additional key points. And it's on a 260-second cooldown. This is a minigame. It is a dex-based minigame. I am not a fan. This is a lag-based game. This is a lag-based game. And this is a dex-based minigame. Also, look, dex-based minigames are ableist. If you have to try to hit a button repeatedly to try to get them in, and you don't have any ways to make it easier for people who have disabled, then you just made an ableist minigame. So here's what it looks like. I'm going to move Nrakk down. You need to keep an eye on Nrakk. Let's swap their places here. It's a circle that wraps around him, and you have to watch as it fills up and hit the ultimate button again at the right time. You cannot automate this. You can't put a familiar on it. The speed of the refill changes between activations. It can only be used a certain number of times before it's maxed out. He can get 30 key points if you can complete the minigame. It maxes at 60. How do you get to 60? There's two ways. One is Dungeon Master. Dungeon Master will fully reset an ultimate with Dungeon Master's ultimate. So Nrakk and Dungeon Master allows you to run the minigame once, hit Dungeon Master's ultimate, run the minigame again. Alternately, and what most people in this community that use Nrakk do, they don't level him up past 110. They don't get him to Stunning Strike, because if you keep him down here, nothing consumes key points. And you can just hit the ultimate, like Parker Familiar on the ultimate, until he gets to 60. And then you've hit the high water mark for Keymaster. That's the current workaround in the community to just get his buff. And when you get 60, the buff is big. It is. But it's still only half his kit. His debuff is enormous if you can get to 60. And alongside the buff would make him a huge champion, except for this ultimate. Are we ready? Here we go. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. Lab. There we go. Okay. And it counts the numbers in the middle. You're getting 3 every time you hit it. I'm getting fairly slow today, and I've paused. Pausing is important. You notice the orange area got smaller every time. So it gets harder and harder and harder. So that maxed out the ultimate. I did it 3 times. Now I got to wait 4 minutes for it to come back, which is why when he attacks, if he doesn't have any key points, it refreshes his ultimate faster. Now I paused on a level, and this is important if you ever want to play this minigame, you've got to be sitting on one level, because the second you move to another level, it cancels the minigame, and you've got to wait, and it triggers the cooldown timer. Womp womp. Also, we're at a place where I'm not dealing with any lag. Well, not a whole lot, which made it a lot easier for me to do that. But when you're at your wall and you're trying to fight a boss, there's debuffs flying around and your game's lagging and you're trying to play that minigame, good luck. So I'm not Nrakk's. Nrakk used to be my DPS champion. I used him as DPS. And I can handle the fact that they took his DPS away. I can't handle the fact that they made his kit inaccessible to a lot of people. All right. Item-wise, damage all champions. Way the Kinsai, stunning strike. So see, you get items for these great features. Ultimate attack, and then this, not ultimate cooldown. This increases Gazrick focus and Gazrick agility. Okay. Feats. Damage all champions. He gets a tadpole, so you can use him with absolute adversaries if you get the tadpole feat. It might not be available currently. It may still be in an exclusivity period. I can't remember. But once it's out, it'll be available. It'll be available for gems. Way of the Kinsai feats. Stunning strike feats. Gazrick focus and agility. Int 1. This qualifies them for Strahd. And then Charisma 2 qualifies them for Zariel. All right, folks, that's it. Yeah, and this went long because there's 8 champions. All right. Of course he has a tadpole. He's a Gith. He fights mind flayers. So we're going to take a short musical interlude. This song we're listening to on the break. When we come back, we're going to answer questions. We've only got about a dozen questions in chat in the document so far. Make sure you put question : in front of anything you want to ask. The song at the break is Short Life, Big Heart. This is Spurt's song from Bardic Inspiration.
I just turned 11 days old. That's an ancient dragon to a kobold. Got my brother by my side. He was eaten by slime. And everywhere I go, it's just along for the ride. Walking through the underdark. A hammer hit me very hard. Short knife, big heart. We never made it very far. Brothers walking hand in slime on that final march. Short life, big heart. Ask me 3 more questions, tell you what I can. Lived a long life for a kobold, but not too long for man. You can ask me about Pepe, you can ask me about my friends. I can show you how to use my stick with stingy on the end. Before the hammer hit my head, I cried out, "You're dead." Short knife, big heart. We never made it very far. Brothers walking hand in slime on our final march. far. Brothers walking hand in slime on our final march. Short life, big heart.
All right, and we're back. And we're back. I'm going to hit up the questions that are on topic first, and then we'll do everything else. We'll do everything else. Wait, what? That's not a question. There's no question there. Henarth asks the key question: as a new player, should I save my time gate pieces for flex champions? Yes. You're gonna want 3 each, like the second week and the third week. You want that. You absolutely want that. That is a better use of time gate pieces than going and doing a time gate, honestly. Now, remember, you get without any extra bonuses, you get 1 every 5 days in this game, basically. So you can time out, like how many are you going to have when these flex slots open. If you get the global blessing from Kellenvor, you get 2 every 5 days. It drops an additional 1. If you get a patron, like if you unlock Mert, you can buy 1 a week. Well, there's 3 a week now, if you think about it. A little less than a week, but 3 a week. So once, like on my new account, I've got Mert. So as long as I know, if it's Wednesday and the next Wednesday I'm going to open some up, if I have 6, I know I could do a time gate because I'll have 3 before the week is up, right? So you can figure out how many you're going to have, budget accordingly. But yes, you want to use those 3 time gate pieces for flex champions, and this is why right now new players are loving it because every time you've opened a spring chest this week, there's been a time gate piece in it, and that's so you can access these flex slots during the event. Let me see what else we got here. Helen Elaine, is it possible to do all 4 tiers without buying any boosts? For an in-game player, yes. Yes. I reached soft cap for this event. I can't get past area 805. Then you're not in-game. Like, you got to be in the late game, end game. There's two different things there. Late game, you need to be a late game player to get to tier 4, through tier 4. I think I covered that during the thing, but you may have asked this before that. So yeah, as a newer player, I mean, if you're getting to 800, that's fantastic. That's great. But that puts you at what, like the start of tier 3, maybe? That doesn't put you into tier 4, right? So, again, this is about tracking your permanent progress through the game, and you don't have the power yet to get through tier 3 and into tier 4. And paying isn't going to do it. It's just wait. This isn't a race. You're not in a race. You're just progressing your own. It's your own progress. You can progress at your own pace. I've been here for 6.5 years. I am not an in-game. I am not like an in-game player. I define in-game as having like everything done. Even before Elminster came out, I didn't have everything done. I didn't really see a reason to do everything. I was having fun. That's what mattered, right? So yeah, your goal in an event isn't to do tier 4 unless you're late game. Your goal in an event is just to see how far can I get? Where is my power out? And where's my power, like overall account power at? You found it out. It gets you to around 800. Meancap, do the event 2.0 buffs become active again when the event comes back next year? You would have to. I think I understand what you're asking. You're asking is because you did tier 4 for these champions, do you get those buffs again next year? I don't know. That's a question for Dev Insights. That's not. I figured they would go away. No, I think they just go away because they're on a timer. It isn't like this is active when this event happens. I think if you want to get them next, like if I want those Festival of Fools buffs next year, I've got to do their I've got to flex those champions again. Yeah, I think that's the way it is. Yeah, I think you have to flex them again. But you can ask Dev Insight. Missed it. Hold on. This one here too. Because a lot of people are probably getting confused on that one. Sorry, folks, we got a lot of general questions. I will get back to them, but let me get to specifically the ones about flex champions. JM, any tips or tricks for Catti's Catti alone variants? She does not have to be by herself. I know it says she's the only one that can be used, but if you have the Dark Urge, he can go anywhere. If you have Dungeon Master can go anywhere, and then Dungeon Master can bring a friend. If you have Dungeon Master, what people try to do is they go fishing. We call it like DM fishing or Voronika fishing. They both have a random champion selection. If you're going to DM fish, you need you want to be looking for a tank. You want a tank. Somebody to soak up the damage as you go along, because the biggest problem, in my opinion, for Catti alone is you get to areas with ranged enemies and they basically one-shot her. You can try health, but you're basically going to want another champion to be a damage soak. Yeah, that's my tip. I think health potions would probably get you through like tier 1, maybe tier 2. But tier 3 and tier 4, you're gonna need other champions. You're gonna need, and this is part of the overall progression, that getting through like tier 3s and tier 4s is having about all of tier 3 and tier 4, regardless, is about having other champions to use. And in this case, Dungeon Master and Dark Urge are the ones you'd want for her variants. Okay, everything else is. There's some event-related stuff here, but it wasn't about flex champions. So we're going to go back to the top and do all the generic questions. We got about 30 minutes. Let's see how we do. JM, how do you keep stacks on Briv? He's great for speed until he's out of stacks. So it seems less than ideal for gem farming. Well, you have to go far enough where he gets hit. Yeah. Briv is only a good speed champion if you're doing pushes to a point where he gets hit and can build up stacks again for your next run. If you can't, he's not your ideal speed champion. This is situational speed. When he's out of stacks, he's out of stacks. I know there's some workarounds that people talk about in this community. I don't do those. You could swap him to a background party and try to build up stacks and come back and bring him back to your party with stuff. Like there's all kinds of stuff. I just use him the way he was intended, and he works just fine for me. It's not gem farming isn't. You can't put him into just a generic Briv formation, like a generic gem farm formation, and have him function, because generic gem farm formations are just short runs with click damage, and you never get enemies touching your formation ever. This is why we talk about Briv gem farming. It is a specific, distinct form of gem farming where you build a formation that Briv jumps super far and then runs into a wall, and enemies build up and hit him, and he builds up enough stacks, and then then it resets, and you do it again, and it's always building up enough stacks to get him back to that point. It is a very specific, manipulative form of gameplay that requires a lot of knowledge about how to adjust your champions and what champions do what and how you min-max this stuff. There's guides out there for that. Lediath has some great... Lediath and Zeke both have written guides, but Lediath has a lot of great video guides as well up on their Twitch channel as VODs. But yeah, Briv is not your normal speed champion. It isn't always on. You got to build it. You gotta charge him up. Don't play like I do if I'm not using the event bouquets for unlocking champions. What am I using them for? Gear. You buy gear now. Straight out of the shop. You come to the shop, you go to chests. You pick the champion you want gear for. I'm going to go Gale, because Gale's the new champion. And for every 7,500 bouquets, you just run this little slider and you max it out. Buy your chests. You get 2 silvers and 1 gold. It's the odds of that it used to be for running free plays. And then you just straight up buy your stuff, and then you come over here and you cash it in. It's super easy. It's great. It saves so much time, because now we don't have to grind out free plays forever and ever and ever. You just get to do the unlock adventure for the champions free. You get to do their variants free, and all the bouquets just get whenever you get 7,500. Go buy some packs from the shop. Go buy some packs from the shop. Henarth, will the tiers reset next year to get another 12 quests, or is it done and dusted? No, it's this permanent progress. Once you complete a tier, you can't do it again. This is why I have not flexed any of these champions, but tier 1 is done for all of them, because I've completed all their events in the past where there was only 1 tier. And now, going forward, I will always have Gale will be done and Penelope will be done forever. I'm done. I got everything, including their permanent, because they're feature champions. They get these bigger rewards at tier 3 and tier 4. But yeah, once you're done, you're done. Events were always that way. It's just that there was only ever 1 tier before. Maxi Kubert, would the healing pigment override the cap of shielding on Antrius? No, but it might get him to the cap, but it wouldn't override it. Like I said, it's very rare that you get to a cap. Usually has to do with Antrius shielding like squishies and you not having a tank. But yeah, what you want the cap on is what you want to. It's rare that you're getting to caps on the people that usually need the shields, which is usually the tanks, right? King Salame, there's no way to farm gold chests besides gems. Well, that's how you got to buy the chests either with cash or with green gems, which means gem farming. Now, there is a feat, or there's a blessing that gives you a better chance to get a gold chest out of a boss bag, but no, you just got to farm gems to buy gold chests. Spila 357, what is the maximum number of scales of Tiamat you can get in one run? Wow. Does bonus of Makos, Polton, Kroll stack additively or multiply? Wow, these are okay. Hold on. Wow, we're going into Trials of Mount Tiamat. I have a guide for this. It's called Trials of Mount Tiamat 101. It's over on the subreddit. If someone wants to link the Gar guides into the chat, let me go check that, because that's not something I think about regularly. I want to say, and I don't know for sure, usually people just throw in 1 champion and then the contribution is usually maxed for like the jury duty, as we like to call it. So I don't know if they stack multiplicatively. I'm going to say it's probably additively. I think they're additive percents, maybe. But I really don't know on that one. Usually you just get the cap and you're done. So, Makos, Kroll, and Polton are going to double the scales you've received. The highest... Where's my rewards? There's so much to know about Trials, so I got to find the right place. Here's my daily restrictions. Here's the rewards. Tiamat scales at Exalted Legend is 5377 times the max, like the double scales, so times 2, so 10,070.54 times 1.5 for the victory bonus, so 16,131 is what I'm getting. Seems, if I did all that math right. I hate doing math on stream, so yeah, max heals is double. So it would be the total Tiamat 53. So yeah, so 16,131 at the highest level. But you got to remember, each tier grants a different amount of scales. Is there a patron and a blessing too? Oh God, don't do this. So whatever. Go figure it out, folks. hold on. Oh God. Let me check. It would be up here higher, right? Increase the total number of scales received for a trials amount team by campaign by 10%. So there's 10% more. Times 1.1. That puts it at 17.7. That is okay. The trials amount Tiamat one would be with that. Now hold on. I know there's perks, but I thought it was like that was the Ariel. I guess not. I don't know. So yeah, if you're getting the perks, you have damage. That's what I thought. So 17.7 something with everything. But yeah, there's a guide for that. Aldraz, new player here. Welcome to the game. If I'm buying packs to unlock the one hero in seat 3, buy Nahara for speed or buy Artemis for the push. Like, is there a good pack for one of those right now? I mean, you're limiting yourself. You're saying, do I want Nahara or Artemis? But I mean, if you want speed, there's also BBEG there. As a new player, I don't care about as a player. Period. I don't care about Artemis, but as a new player, especially, I wouldn't go near Artemis. Artemis needs item levels to be good. And when I say item levels, I mean like 1,000. I know people think that you can pull him off as a big deal before 1,000, but if you put 200, 500, 700 item levels into Artemis, those item levels would get you a better DPS on most other like top tier DPS. He really only picks up at about 1,000 average item levels. And you also need a lot of items. There's a BBG one. You also need another, I don't know. You also need a lot of item levels on all the supports that Artemis has with him. And so if you're not far as a new player, no, I wouldn't get Artemis. So if you want to buy a speed champion in slot 3, he's not Moanulu. I prove this all the time on this account for people, and I get that no one believes me, but I had champions with 200, 300 item levels on average on them, and I'd run DPS tests building out the perfect formation for Artemis when he had 700 and something item levels on a golden flute, and it would be garbage DPS compared to, even though I had hundreds of item levels on all my champions, it would be garbage compared to just 200 or 300 or 400 item levels on someone like Catti-brie or Birdsong. There's a tipping point with Artemis. There is. I know people don't want to believe that. And this is before legendaries. Because, it's just, I don't know. But you play the game however you want. Ultimately, play the game however you want. But what I'm telling you is Artemis is not good for a new player. You need a lot of item levels on him. If you intend to invest a lot of item levels in Artemis and his team, go for it. I'm not going to tell you how to play the game. I'm not going to tell you that you can't go do that. You can play however you want. What I'm telling you is I don't think it would be, if you're just going to buy a pack from the shop for Artemis, he's not going to be as strong as you think he is. Catti-brie in this event with stuff from her would probably do better for you than Artemis. But you can have Nahara or BBEG for speed. BBEG is better if with his feet. So I don't know if there's a pack with the speed feet in the shop or not. But there you go. Just know the information and make your own decision. Because I'm not going to tell you which one to buy. Primo Patricio, would you recommend waiting to use the 16 gold chests received from the DLC until I get all blues in each slot? Not all blues, no. If you want to be hyper efficient with it, wait until you get greens, all greens from Electrum chests, like the ones you get here, like on this stream. Green or better, and then popping those chests will be more efficient itemization for you, but you don't have to. When you're dealing with 16, because you have 16 gold chests, it'll sort itself out. But when you have fewer gold chests, you always want to make sure you're being efficient with your itemization. But yeah. So if you want to use them, go ahead. With 16, you've got enough that you're gonna get everything pretty good. You'll get 2. You'll have like at least 4 blue and 2 epics out of that. Noobles, sorry I missed the explanation of Gale. We didn't explain Gale because Gale's not a flex champion. Wondering if he's a worthwhile champ. Yeah, well, he's a featured champion. You can just get him. You don't have to flex him. Gale and Penelope, folks, you don't have to spend anything to get. Just go get them. Just go get them. I don't understand that question, Noobles. So yeah, no, if you want to learn about Gale and Penelope, last week when the event started, I did Gaarawarr's Guide to Greengrass, Year 7, and I covered Gale and Penelope in full. You can hit up the VOD from last week. But TLDR, yeah, Gale's great. So is Penelope. Graydon, who are the go-to non-positional buffers? Oh, I got Catty's 1600 out of her critter friends and 1400 keep messing me up. So here's what, okay, so we're talking, what your question is, so the non-positional buffers, I'm just going to say straight up, that's not necessary and or important. You just need to find your best formation, right? And it seems like you're having trouble with one of her variants, which is Critter Companions. And basically you lose 2 formation slots, but it shifts. Every 25 areas, they shift into different places. So here's one of the tricks to defeating something like this. You want to find because it changes every 25 areas. Go back to area 1, look at the formation layout, and then you go to 26. And then you look at the formation layout. And then you go to 51 and you look at the formation layout because the critters are going to move. At some point, find a formation layout in your run because every 25 areas it rotates. But it's only a certain number of times and then it repeats. Find the best formation for you to create damage in. Build out that formation, level them all the way up, spike your bud, right? Take your familiars off the field so that you're spiking bud. And then turn and save that formation on that level. Remember what level that is. Spike your bud, pop a fire breath potion, turn auto progress back on with your familiars back on the field, and ride that wave. Ride that fire breath wave. Okay. This is what bud spiking truly means. This is the actual definition when we talk about bud spiking. This is the real bud spiking. There's like a mini bud spike thing you can do in other situations, but this is the real bud spiking, is dropping back, spiking your bud in a perfect formation, and then moving up to that imperfect place and riding that fire breath wave. Do that. And you can do this on all kinds of things. It isn't just these rotational things with NPCs that move. It's also the ones that stack up extra escorts until you have like 1 champion left or no champions left. This is it. It's all about bud spiking. Nice. New player here, and by new I mean I know nothing. Where do I start? Do you have a walkthrough starter series video somewhere? I do. That's what I do. I make guides. Somebody probably linked it at the time, but I have a new player walkthrough called a guided tour. There it is now in chat. I am in the process of relearning the game with Events 2.0 to update that, but it's still fairly accurate for the most part. It walks you through the game in a milestone way, and it points you at other guides I or other people may have made. I think most of them are mine. There might be a couple for others. Whenever I can find new player stuff that I don't have, then I try to link to other people. And just go 1 milestone at a time. I also have just a bunch of guides. There's some that aren't linked in there yet. Again, I'm in the middle of updating it. Over on the subreddit, and there's a link to that in that guide. There's over 170 guides over there targeted at players who are encountering all these champions or systems for the first time. And then I'm currently playing through a new account, and I'm taking it day by day. I'm playing everything on stream, and then I'm chopping those every adventure up and putting it onto my YouTube channel. So, Gaarawarr, you just look for Gaarawarr, spelled like it sounds. It's right there. It's right there. Spell it over on YouTube. So I have basically a now free to play walkthrough series. You can just reference and listen to. It doesn't have like the full days uploaded. Currently, those will last for a little while on my YouTube or on my Twitch VOD, but and I'll be streaming later today as well. You can just click on my name and follow me over there. Ask questions as you go along. This game is deeper than most people want to give it credit for and have any idea of when they pick it up. But you also don't have to deep dive it. You can play it casually too, whatever you get enjoyment of. Cream of Patricio, for Penelope's Chewinga mask, how do you know which champions are affected by which tags? Currently playing a guessing game with it. So I'm just going to tell you right up, and this is fine. You're misunderstanding the ability, and this is what happens with a lot of people, so it's not something to worry about. All right. Let me hide my familiars here so we get her mask out. So you can see there's a problem with the UI right now, and that's that the champions are not triggering the right stuff. So when let's get her mask down again. Oh, there's a bad low. Those are bad clouds. There we go. There we go. It's triggering the wrong side. So right now it's counting up adjacencies on the first for her good tags on the right hand side when it should be on the left. So the visual's broken because it's only supposed to count the green stuff if you're next to a tank. But it's backwards. Instead it's counting the sword next to the tank. That's one problem that's going on. But the other is just your understanding of how Chewinga Mask works. So the healing charm is for, and the fact that they don't have this information in the game, it's in my guide. The healing charm is for champions who only affects and triggers based off champions that have the tanking tag, which is your roll up here. Tools for the job triggers off people with healing, support, and gold tags. Gold tags. Okay. Again, we've brought this up to them that this needs to be in the game. It is not in the game. It is not clear. It is in her reintroduction spotlight. It's in my guide. But healing charm is for tank champions. Tools for the job is for healing, support, and gold find champions. So the way you build this up is by having, like right now, she's got 2 stacks of tools for the job. If we put her up here and we surround her with more people, now she's got 4 stacks. It's on the wrong side. It should be on the left side. It's on the right side. But she's got 4 stacks of tools for the job in this location. That's how you know. Whoever's around her needs to have those tags. So yeah, it's part of it is just you got to understand that ability. Part of it is they don't have that information in the game, and part of it is the indicator in game is backwards. I don't know how it got so messed up, but it was working like on day 1 and then it broke. Yeah. So just know, this is why I said a lot of times I don't even pay attention to the indicators. I just pay attention to what the ability is supposed to do, and then I put it in the right place. And if the indicator isn't working, I submit a bug report. C's Fun, can more than 1 support pigment be put on a champion? Like up to 6 on one per piece per gear. Yes, it's 1 per piece per gear. So like my Catti-brie has, she only has 1. You know, who has 2? Briv probably has 2, right? Yeah. It's like my Briv has a tanking pigment, that's the blue one, and a support pigment, that's the green one, and he's got 2 of them. He's got it on... he's got 3 tanking pigments, okay. But yeah, you can have on any champion that qualifies for the role, they can have a pigment on each of their pieces of gear. So up to 6 pieces, up to 6 pigments of the same type per champion. If they qualify for multiple roles, they can have even more. They can have even more. Singularity, I see that you have 0 auto-clicker upgrades. Correct. What's the point of upgrading heroes when the auto-clicker gives much more damage for the same price? You haven't gone far enough in the game or something? I don't know. Your auto-clicker doesn't give more damage for the same price. It does early on, based off the amount of favor you have. But then your champions, well, even then, yeah, no, that game doesn't work like that. I'm not sure how what's going on with your auto clicker. I think maybe you got a boon from the event, and what you're actually seeing is that you're getting fire breath damage. I don't know, but that's not how the game works at all. You're clicking, the damage falls off real quick compared to leveling up your champions. There is a point later on where after you hit the soft cap on champions, like with the 0 with the line through it down here, like no more upgrades, where with enough favor, your click damage can actually outscale your champions, but it needs a lot of favor now with as high as the soft cap is. So yeah, singularity. That's not how the game works. So it doesn't. Yeah, upgrading your heroes does much better. William Smith, if they modify a previous flex champ, will they then change the tier 4 adventure to allow getting the tier 4 bonus one? So it didn't have it. So here's the thing. It's not about who's a flex champion or not. It's about who's been a featured champion so far. Featured champions currently are the ones getting these tier 3 and tier 4 permanent rewards. In the last event, as you saw, I flexed like mad. I got Briv, Miria, Rosie, and Cathris. I flexed all 4 of them. I've completed all 4 tiers of their content. If they go back, if these are a featured champion, or they start putting tier 3 and tier 4 rewards on more champions than just featured, and it hits one of these, I get them automatically. It just goes into my inventory. Because I already completed the content. I already made that permanent progress. Sarmaz, new Steam Pack returner from 2019. Welcome back. First off, Sarmaz, if you had signed up for the newsletter in the past, and folks, everybody should go sign up for the newsletter. Hamburger button, newsletter, valid email address. If you had signed up for the newsletter in the past, and you didn't delete all those emails while you were gone, all of those codes are still valid. Go find them. Go find them in your spam folder or wherever. It's going to take a little while if you've been gone for 5 years. There's a lot of codes there, but that's all. Those are all free chests, tons of gear, tons of potions, tons of consumables, and some champions and skins. If you still have them. All right, I have mostly evergreens plus Birdsong and Strix from way back. Picking flex in this event. What's your best to help me get to mid game? This event is stacked. They're all good. So what you're looking at is what's going to help you get to split the party, or split the party 1, or split the party 2, because I don't think that was around back then. But what you need is 2 champions in every slot. So one swap in every slot. So 2 champions in every slot. Or if you've already split the party once, then 3 champions in every slot. And you're going to want to make your decisions about who you flex based around getting to those goals. 2 champions in every slot, and then 3 champions in every slot. That's what I'm doing on a new player account. And that's effectively what you're doing, right? Like, so you want to look for the slots that don't have a swippy swappy button. If all of them have a swippy swappy button, then you can split the party once if you haven't already. And then you need to look at having 2 extra champions in every slot, right? That's your goal. That's going to be what's best to help you progress, because getting your background parties and getting your Modron cores is a very big deal now in the modern game. I feel like you left before that. D2 Crafty one. For Antrius, what's the item you need epic to buff up everybody? Suave and Sophisticated is the mop item. The Suave and Sophisticated, slot 3. Slot 3. Last I played, Modron cores were new and very broken. They didn't... Oh, no, they always worked. What? Background parties weren't great.
But the Modron cores always work. That's interesting. I don't remember the Modron cores ever being broken. I know the animations, some of the flow animations were broken at times, but the buffs always worked. Honda Hero, how long do the event buffs last? It's right here on the timer. So the current Greengrass ones are going to last for 50 more days. Festival of Fools, I got 22 days left. And then the event boon that you buy, like if you bought a pack, that's only got 11 days more left. Yeah. Enjoy. Dante Drake, already a chance of seeing Gaarawarr as a champion. Well, I've been here for 6.5 years. I have 170 plus guides. I've played D&D on this channel with Gaarawarr, Grudgekeeper, as the character. You can find those VODs from Storyteller Mars Presents up on my YouTube channel. At this point, if I feel like it hasn't happened yet, it's never gonna. It's never gonna. Kyozatino, if Penelope is adjacent to a champion that is a support healer or gold find, does that mean that this champion gets 3 stacks of her buff? No, it's a binary. It's either on or off. What it's doing is it's triggering how many stacks of hers, of the tools of the job that you get and give to everybody. Yeah. Gabe has no power here. Gabe's like, I don't get to choose who gets you in the game as a champion. Yeah. Sees fun. Follow-up, is it worth putting more than one pigment on a champion before each go-to support champion has one? That's a personal choice. Personally, I spread them out on all of the champions I was really using in pushing groups, which is why you see that I just have 1 or 2, rather than going all in on a single champion. For the most part, until I got to Karlach, and Karlach has 1 support pigment on everything. That's because Karlach is Bay. If the champion is all epic, is there something in particular that makes an item gear better to put a pigment on? It doesn't matter. Yeah, you can only put a pigment on epic gear, but it doesn't matter where it goes. HBCSZ, does favor conversion after event 2.0 differ under this new system? Not really. Should only push deep for the new and rework champions. Well, I mean, it's 1 favor covers all of it, so it doesn't matter if you flex from like Penelope was from a different event originally, and it doesn't really matter. It's all going to be covered under Greengrass, so however much favor you earn is going to apply to all of your flex champions. That favor is going to apply to all of your runs. So get whatever favor you want. I probably should do another deep run. I only have E70. I only have E70 Lathander's favor. I should probably do another deep run. But yeah, it's still a conversion, 10% per order of magnitude. So E70 is a 700% multiplier for me. On the campaign of my choice, which will be Fortune's favor. Turn on Fortune's wheel. Yeah, I've been slacking. I've been playing the new account. Speaking of, folks, this stream is about to end, and there are no more streams this weekend. Streams will return. Streams on the CNE Games channel are usually just Tuesdays through Saturdays. I want to be clear. Last Monday was this past Monday was special because of the promotion on Steam. So Tuesdays through Saturdays, streams on this channel return on Tuesday. However, I stream on my channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr, spelled like it sounds. I put my name in the chat. You click my name and hit follow. I'll be streaming in about an hour-ish. I'm going to go get lunch, and then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to prep dinner in the slow cooker. And then I'm going to turn the stream on. And we will be, I'll be back in my new player account, which is my Epic account. So I don't have any of these wonderful new Steam giveaway stuff. But we're making solid progress. We're going to be working on some event runs on a new player account, so you can continue asking me more questions over there. I play Auto Champions there 5 days a week now. Currently on this new player account, that's all I'm doing. Normally I'm a bit of a variety streamer, but right now it's all Idle Champions all the time. So come hang out over there. Otherwise, hit up, if you need more help, hit up my guide page. The link should be in chat in here in a second. Because it's Saturday. The bot's like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, and you can find, again, over 170 guides over there for the game. What song are we going out on? Oh, Melf's Mighty March. This was the song for Melf from Bardic Inspiration. Thank all of you for asking the questions. Thanks, Gabe, for grabbing the questions, and I will see you later. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Morton Cannon was a mentor to him, sent him to a mystical plane. Learning magic from the circle of fate. Life would never be the same. Always fighting for the forces of good, valorous, stalwart and kind. First to the fight, last out the door. He'll never leave an ally behind. Mind is sharp as a sword, arm as sure as his word. Leading the charge to justice with never-ending toughness. He'll never be corrupted. Melf can always be trusted. Found a forger, creator of spells. That's why we all remember his name. Acid arrows flying, meteors flying. Each deed adds to his fame. Wisdom deep as an ocean, protecting his friends with devotion, leading the charge to justice with never-ending toughness. He'll never be corrupted. Melf can always be trusted. Forces of chaos, we're undone. As Melf casts down the minions of Therizon. Heroism was not just a king, as he wielded the spear of Grik, leading the charge to justice with never-ending toughness. He'll never be corrupted. Melf can always be trusted.